Hey there, how's it going everyone? In the last video, we created our vast view function and also URL patterns to map the view function to a certain URL. URL patterns map views to URLs and views decide which data is displayed to users of our application. Templates, on the other hand, help to define how data is displayed to users. They are usually written in HTML in combination with Django's templating language. So let's go ahead and create our templates. So I'll go to our code and then at the top of our code, let me first close this. We have our render function. Now the function of this render function is to help us to render those templates. So instead of our view function returning static strings or any other data, if we want to render templates, we use the render function. So we're going to say return render, then we specify the request, and then we specify which kind of HTML file we would like to bring in. So in this case, we're going to say index.html. We're going to save this. So to bring in our templates, we are going to create a templates folder within our app. So I'm going to create the templates folder by saying new folder. I'm going to call this folder templates. And inside this templates folder, I'm going to create another folder which I'm going to call notes. Now in the templates root, I'm going to create a file called base.html. I'm going to move it to the templates root, and in notes is where I'm going to copy the rest of the HTML files that are necessary for our application. So I'm going to open the location where those files are, the front end folder, and I'll copy all these files, copy, I'll bring them to where the project is in my templates directory within notes. So I'm going to paste them, and when I paste these files, the next thing is going to be to render these files. So instead of saying return render template render request index.html, since the index.html file is located within the notes folder, I'll have to say notes slash index.html. So I'll go ahead and save this, hoping our server is still running. Yes, still running. So I'm going to go to our browser and refresh. So we're seeing that our app is returning an HTML template. Now I'm going to do the same for the other templates. I'm going to go and create view functions that are going to render the other templates. So I'm going to create a view function that's going to render our register page. So I'm going to say def register. This takes in a request and it's going to return render. It takes in the request and the template name. So in this case, the template is going to be register.html. Now we're also going to create our view function for the login page. So we're going to say request, and this is going to also return render request, and then we specify the template name. So the template is going to be login.html. We're going to do the same for the other HTML pages. For example, go to the settings page. I'm going to say request, and then we return render request and settings.html. The next thing, we are going to also render the update page and the logged out page. So I'm going to say def logged out. It's going to return. Actually, this is going to take in a request. So I'm going to put the request object, and it's going to return render we pass in the request. So it's going to take the request, and the template is going to be logged out.html. So after doing this, we're going to save our app, and when we save, the next thing will be to create URL patterns that are going to map this to URLs. So we're going to go to our urls.py inside our notes folder. And the next thing is going to be creating our paths. So I'm going to copy this, and after copying this, I'm going to paste it for all the view functions. Now I'm going to make this be tidy. So I'm going to Then the next thing will be to provide URL. So I'm going to provide a URL for login, and this will be views.login. Then the name, I'm going to give it the login, and this name will help us later. So I'm also going to create one for registering. So I'm going to say register. This is going to be views.register, and the name is also going to be register. We shall see the use for the name later. To close that, now the next thing will be creating the settings. So I'm going to say settings, and this will be views.settings. And the next thing that I'll also call this settings. So we also have our home. We haven't created the view for that. We're going to create it in a moment. Now let's go back to our views. So we having settings, update. We haven't get rendered this. So let's work on the view functions as well. So I'm going to say def update request, takes in a request, and returns render. So this takes in the request as well, and the template name. So the template name in this case is update.html. We're also going to create our next view function, which is going to be the one for the home page. So I think I'll even create this just up this side, and we're going to say def. This is going to be home page. I'm going to call it home page. It's going to take in the request, and it's going to return render request, and it's going to take in the template name. So in this case, the template is going to be home.html. So we're going to save this and create URL patterns for those view functions. So we're going to go back to where I stopped. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to cut it and put it slightly above the login. So below the login, I'm going to say this is going to be home. It's going to be the home URL, and we're going to put views.homepage, and this is going to be home page. So we're going to call it home page. Now we are having this, so I'm also going to create the one for the update. So I'm going to paste and come and say this is going to be update. We shall modify this as time goes on. So we shall also pass in update, and we should call this, we give this a name of date. Now after this has happened, the next thing is going to be to be able to check out these URLs. So when we save this, hoping our server is still running, yes. So when we minimize our server and we go back to our browser, when we go to localhost 8000, we're going to refresh the page. So we are going to go to register. So when we go to the register page, we see that template does not exist. This is because we made a mistake. The mistake we made is we did not specify the location of our templates well. What we needed to do, since all of them are located within the notes folder, we needed to do notes slash that then notes, and we needed to also do notes. We also needed to do notes. Then we're going to fix this. When we save, our server is still running. We're going to go back to our web browser, and when we refresh, we see that our templates are being rendered. So we're going to navigate through and we go to different routes. For example, when you go to login, you get the login template. When you go to settings, so let's go to settings, we shall see the setting page. So when you go to update, you're going to see a form being rendered, and that is working as intended. So after doing that, we're going to go back to our templates and realize that we have a base.html file which is empty, and this is supposed to give us the layout of our application. You may have your application having some parts that can be shared within the entire application. So the other templates can be able to inherit from this base template so as to have a unique layout, so as to have one layout that works within the entire application. So what we're going to do is to select those parts of the application that are shared within other parts of within the other templates in the application. So we're going to go to our index.html, and we're going to realize that all of our templates have the same header. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to go and cut this. And after cutting this, I'm going to go to base.html and paste it. So I'm going to paste it just here. I'm going to also go back to the index.html and remove this body, this closing body and HTML tags. I'll also paste them just here. Now after doing this, we're going to use Django's templating language so as to help to extend from this base template. So to do this, we are going to use um, Django templating language uses tags and variables and filters. So tags have this syntax. So when we say a tag is represented by this, and a variable is represented by double curly braces, and then a filter helps us to modify the data we are displaying. So it may be a variable, then it may have the variable, and then the filter, like this. So in this case, we're going to use Django tags that are going to show that this is a block of content that is going to be shared among all the content area that is going to be shared among all the application. So to do that, I'm going to remove this, and what we're going to say is we're going to create a tag, and this tag is going to be called block. Now this block tag is, you can call it whatever name. So in this case, I'm going to call it body, and we also close the tag by saying end block body. Now after doing this, this template can be inherited from by other templates of the application. So to do that, I'll go back to index.html. Now when I go back to index.html, I use another tab called extends. So extends kind of displays the template you're inheriting from. So to do that, I'll say this is going to be extends. I'm going to say base.html, and this is going to show that we are inheriting from a layout of base.html. Now after that, the next thing we're going to do is to also put our content within the block tag. So I'm going to say block body, and then where the content ends, I'm going to say end block body. So now this is going to be done for the other templates of the application. So I'm going to recommend VS Code extension that can help you to write these tags in a way that's fast. So when you go to our extensions tab, I have this tool called Django that helps us to write these Django snippets in a way that's fast. For example, if I am to go back to the template, so I'll go back to the template. When I go back to my template, I can be able to create these tags by just saying var. So when I go to var, the var is created. When I go to tag, I can press tag and the tag is created. So when I say filter, the filter will be created. So let us see that in action. So I'm going to go and inherit the layout I'm going to inherit the layout in other templates. So I'm going to save this and close it. So I also close the base.html. Now I'll go back to my files and I'll start inheriting the layout in others. So I'm going to go to home.html. I'll cut the header and remove it. Then I'll just put ext and the generator will help me to finish it. So I'll say base.html and then go where the content ends. I'll say where the content ends, I'll say that end block content. So let's see. So I'll say block. So when I say block, it's going to finish for me. Then I'll say body, and then I'll have to just cut this and paste it where the content ends. So I'll just bring it down the side like that. So and save. Then I'm going to close that also. Now I'm also going to go to the other pages, for example, log.html. I'll do the same thing. I'm going to cut this header and then say extends. It's going to extend base.html, and then I also write the block. So I'll write block body, and then I'll have to cut the end block. Then I'll have to paste it where the layout where the content ends. So I'll paste it right below, save, and then I'll have to go to login.html. I'll do the same thing. So I'm going to cut the header and extends. So this is going to be base.html, and then it's going to be block body. So block body, I'll cut this and go where the content ends. So I'll come to the bottom. So I'll paste this and save. I'll do the same thing for the register page. So I'll come and say header, remove it, and I'll write extends base.html. Then I'll write this is going to be block body. So I'll cut this. After cutting this, we're going to write the end block body just slightly below, just like I've done for the other templates. Now I'll do the same for the settings. So I'm going to cut the header, and then I'll say extends base.html, and then I'll cut this and replace the end block body. So I'll say block body. I'll paste this. So I'm going to save and do the same thing for the update. So I'm going to copy this. So I'll say extends, and this will be base HTML. So when I go down the side, I'll say remove this, then I write the block which the content is going to be. So I'll call this block body. I'll cut this, and when I go down where the content is ending, I'll simply paste the end block body. Now this has helped us to inherit from the base layout, which is going to be shared within the application. Now the next thing is we're going to be able to, let's first check this out in the web browser. So when you go to /update, and let's go to the root. So when you go to the, we see that we are having, did you forget to load this tag? So you see, okay, we have a mistake. So this is extends. When you go to our index.html, we have a mistake, so this has to be extends. Save that. Now we are seeing that our pages are inheriting from the same layout. So when you go to register, and even when you go to login, and even when you go to settings, we're seeing that the layouts are the same for all the pages of our application. Then the next thing we're going to do is to be able to work on our URLs. When you click on our URLs, they are not redirecting to the pages that you want to. So let's work on that. So we're going to go to our layout.html, the base HTML, which is our layout in this case. Then Django uses tags for specifying the URLs, and the URLs are specified using a special tag which is called URL. So to create that, we follow this syntax. Now, before I do that, I'm going to go to our urls.py, and what I'm going to do is to specify the app name. The app name just makes it easy for us to know that our URLs belong to a certain app. Now I'm going to go and create an app name variable. So I'm going to say app name is going to be, so I'll specify that this app name is going to be notes. So when I save, I'll go to our main project, which is keep project in our URLs. Now where I will say it include notes.urls, I'm going to say comma, and then I also give it a name of, this name is going to be notes. Now when you save that, we're going to use these notes while specifying URLs to go to. So I'm going to save this index.html files, first solve this, then save and close. So I'll go to my base.html, and instead of saying home, I'll say URL. Now January is going to create the tag for us. So when I say enter, then I'll specify the app name. So in this case, the app name is notes. And then I also say that the view function for that. So I'll say new notes. Then I'll go and get the name of that specific route. So the name is going to be index. So I'll just say notes index. Now to register, I'm going to come to the register page and say URL. So this is going to be notes, and then use the semicolons. So when I go to notes, register is going to be register. So I'm going to do exactly that. So I'll say notes register. Now to log in, I'm also going to say that this is going to be URL. So this is going to be notes login. Then I'll save this. So when you go back to our application, let me refresh the page. We are going to be able to navigate to the different parts of the application. Um, and these links are going to help us to navigate to the parts of the application. So let's check what has happened. Let's check what we have done. So in this video, we've been able to create view functions for templates, and templates help us to define how our data is being displayed to users. We've also been able to create URL mappings for these templates and be able to create specific routes that redirect us to these pages. If you feel you've learned from this video, please leave a like and leave a comment down in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.